quality of sentiency, of being sensitive. People who talk to their plants are helping develop that sentiency. And there's consciousness in the animal kingdom, which is producing the development of will and purpose. And I think of my cat Starlight, who taught me a lot about the will. And in the human kingdom, the goal is the development of a sense of the group, of relationship to others, to be ultimately one with one's fellow men. So there is consciousness, and it's progressing throughout all these levels of existence. The great question mark and the trouble spot is man, because he can identify himself both with the physical realm, the form, as we were talking, and there's something in him that identifies with pure spirit, with God. That's the whole reason behind the religious urge, which goes back, they believe, to earliest Homo sapiens, who understood that in the sun and in fire there was an element of divinity and responded to that. So there is this ability to identify both with the physical and the divine, and it's what produces the sense of pain and suffering, because we're pulled between these pairs of opposites.
Yes, it's that soul factor that is always working and working within the form, or whatever that form is, whether it's a plant or an animal or a human being. There is a soul factor present that is giving that form, life, and ability to reach out. And you find even at the level of the atom, there is a level of consciousness. In fact, one of the books by Alice Bailey is called Consciousness of the Atom. And it's a fascinating little book.
It's a series of lectures that she gave here in New York about 80 years ago.
Yeah, 1922, I think it was. But it's still very current and relevant today. Yeah. And so even at the level of the atom, and within the atom itself, there is this element of consciousness that tells this atom what to do, where to associate with other atoms, and so forth. And so on and on, from the very smallest up to the greatest, even up to the planet itself. There is this element of consciousness and soul, and it is because of this soul factor that there is consciousness.
I think scientists probably have a keen awareness of the intelligence in matter that organizes the composition of a molecule and so on. It's mysterious and yet documented. That they might not call it consciousness, but that does seem to be the organizing principle that they are discovering through their research. For the human being, the way out of this dilemma that we've been talking about is the mind, because through the mind we have the ability to approach God. The great invocation which closes our program speaks of that: from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. This is the means of connection, or the bridge or conduit of consciousness from the mind of the human being to the mind of God. And that's what is being developed through experience and evolution and spiritual practice.
Yes, even at the level of the mineral or the plant and the animal, there is this rudimentary mind that animates it and gives it life. So, and it's what turns the flower towards the sun, and the animal to be an animal, so to do its thing.
What is meant by an expansion of consciousness? I would think that would be an area we should explore, because that's a phrase that's used very often.
Right. Well, coming back to that image of the circle with the point in the center, the expansion of that circle's radius or circumference, I guess is the more appropriate word, is what happens with the expansion of consciousness to incorporate more and more of the whole. And it's an expansion that occurs, as I mentioned, through spiritual practices like meditation, study of scriptures. It also occurs in a more leisurely manner through evolution, through experience, through repeated incarnations. Those who believe in reincarnation, the return of the soul again and again, through suffering, experience, and the gradual gaining of wisdom, expands consciousness. But one can try to accelerate that process through real effort in meditation and study of spiritual scripture. Sometimes the most amazing events in life can accelerate that expansion of consciousness. And I was reading in this book by Houston Smith that I mentioned, Why Religion Matters, the experience of a French person who fought in the resistance in France in World War II, who had been blinded at an early age through a childhood accident, and he discovered that he could use his eyes to actually see, to be conscious, but on an inner level. He said, I began to look from an inner place to one further within, whereupon the universe redefined itself and peopled itself anew. He said, I was aware of a radiance emanating from a place I knew nothing about, but which was inside of him, within him. And he said the radiance was there, or more precisely, light. I bathed in it as an element, and he could actually see in that light. I find this fascinating.
It is fascinating.
I've been thinking about it all day. He could see people as they are. His intuition was extremely keen. He was an excellent judge of character. He had more vision, in a way, than most of us with eyes.
Yeah, so from that experience you can see that real expansions of consciousness are those that actually create a transformation in the person, where there is a genuine turning point reached in one's life. And those are the real expansions of consciousness, where one's awareness suddenly becomes totally more inclusive.
In other words, the sense of I expands to include more and more of the whole. That may sound like an impossibility, but in fact the sense of being an identity, we're told, ever remains, no matter how far consciousness progresses.
And once again, if you'd like our gift that we'll be happy to send out for you, it's a gift that is based on this program. The Energy of Light is the title of the pamphlet. Just give us a call at 1-866-695-8247, or the easy way to remember it, 1-866-NY Lucis. Think of New York Lucis, and we'll be happy to send the pamphlet out to you. That's about all the time we have for our discussion today. You've been listening to Inner Sight. Now we would like to close with a world prayer called the Great Invocation. It's a call for light and love and goodwill to flow into the world and into our hearts. Let's listen for a moment to these powerful words.
From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.